City in New York. Fresh off their deepest playoff run in 25 years, the Knicks, as quickly as they possibly could, fired their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. The announcement coming 3 days after they were ousted from the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games by the Pacers, against whom they were a slim favorite when that series began. And so the squad is together today. Monica was with us earlier this morning. Jay Will has jumped into the conversation. The win man is with us. He's getting set to cover the NBA Finals. JB Bickerstaff and Alan Hahn with us this morning as well. Win man, before I get Jay in here, we'll start with you. For those who were waking up and didn't follow all the news yesterday, saying, why in the world would the Knicks have fired their coach after what I think anyone would consider to have been a very successful season? What's the answer?
Something was strange about the way this went down, in that what Tom Thibodeau did to his coaching strategy during the Eastern Conference Finals might have assured his firing. And what I mean by that is, after falling down 2-0 in that series, he made a whole bunch of changes. He changed his starting lineup, putting Mitchell Robinson in. He extended multiple players into his bench, something that players and team personnel and people across the league had been begging him to do for months. He also changed some of his strategies within the coaching of the game, and it worked. They won 2 of the next 3 games, got themselves back into the series, but in a way that just highlighted how his rigidity might have held the Knicks back a little bit. Now, in my view, the Pacers were the better team, and the better team won, but clearly the Knicks front office and the decision makers there felt that the team could have achieved more had Thibodeau coached a little differently in the playoffs.
Jay Williams, what are your opening thoughts?
It's hard for me to be surprised, guys, when I've seen the same movie play out 3 times. Like I've seen this in Chicago, I've seen this in Minnesota, and now seeing it with the Knicks. Wendy used the operative word rigidity. And when you think about how flexible he became with his scheme in Game 3, he was forced into that. Now, we're just not evaluating the postseason run. You're looking at the entire body of work. Let's also remember that the Knicks were 0-7 versus both the Cavs and the Boston Celtics throughout the course of the regular season. Let's also remember the stat that I gave you guys a couple of weeks ago, that the Knicks starters played 750 more minutes than the Indiana Pacers starters. All these are things that have added up to, I feel as if the Knicks upper brass has valued growth more than just stability. I also said in the show, I'm not sure that what you've seen this year just automatically translates back to the Eastern Conference Finals for next year. I think there were a lot of patterns that people have seen that make you question whether this is the right innovator to take this team over the hump, right? He's maxed out the floor, but is he a guy that can get your team to raise the ceiling? Not a lot of people were sure about that.
Well, you're there every single day, Alan, around this team, and you know it very well. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not surprising. It was stunning. The timing of it, of course, and the season that they had. This is the best season they've had in a quarter century. And he is, by the way, 4th on the all-time wins list in Knicks franchise history.
In 5 years.
That has been around for almost 100 years. So you have to think about the amount of success he's had in a 5-year span. So all those things lead you to believe that this is the most success this franchise has had in a long time, and he has been at the helm. You would think whatever issues came out of the season, you work them out in the offseason, and you'd be better for the following year with the idea of trying to win a championship. But there were exit meetings held with some players, not the entire roster, but the key players on the team. The owner was present with these meetings with the front office, and collectively they came to the decision that it was probably time to make the move.
He's highly respected for his ability to coach, strategize, and get the most out of his players. I feel like you do a job and you earn the next year in our profession. And in my mind, Thibs earned the next year. As far as the relationships with players, it has changed. Like when my dad was first coaching and I was a ball boy in this league, like the head coach was the most important, if not the second most important person in the building. And now as time has changed and the seasons have changed, the players and the coaches have more of a 50-50 partnership. You want your players to have ownership, so you want them to contribute to some of the decisions that you make. But as a coach, it is important that you stand by your principles. The things that you believe in, you have to stand by those things.
Earning another season is tough in this league. 4 of the last 6 championship-winning coaches have been fired. 2 of them have been fired twice, both of those by Phoenix. Every Coach of the Year winner from 2017 to 2023 was fired within 4 years of winning the award. So success is fleeting in the NBA. I would like to also just address one thing very quickly. I'm a Tom Thibodeau fan. I make no secret of that. I make no apology for it. I'm not sitting here saying this is an abject disgrace. I fully understand the thinking behind it, and maybe it will wind up having been the right thing to do. But I'm not here for the comparisons with Doug Collins being fired and Phil Jackson taking over. Phil Jackson took over a team that had the greatest player of all time just entering his prime, and Scottie Pippen, who at the time was probably at worst a top 10 player in the league and maybe a top 5 player in the league. This is a team that is led by Jalen Brunson, who was another NBA team decided to let him walk away for nothing rather than paying him what would amount to a very small amount of money for a superstar in this league. And Karl Anthony Towns, who is a player that a team last year made a surprising deep run in the playoffs and then traded him away immediately. That's not Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So it is my opinion that this team maxed out its potential. This team did as much, it went as far as it realistically could have been expected to go. That might not be the reason to keep a coach. I'm not arguing.
There is familiarity with getting a
to make them drink. And what I'm saying is be careful what you wish for. Water. They think someone else is going to need to make them drink. And what I'm saying is be careful what you wish for, because I'm not sure how many coaches would have found the water with this particular group. That's what I'm trying to say. The expectation of the next coach, Wendy, is going to be that he makes them drink.
Yeah, and so if you look, the difference in the span that they had between between Eastern Conference Finals appearances was 25 years. Between Jeff Van Gundy, who led them to that last Eastern Conference Finals, and Tom Thibodeau, they had 13 different head coaches. So the idea that you just switch coaches here and keep on going, I think is a risk for sure. When you fire a head coach, I don't care what sport it is, who's been successful, you need to have a good plan to follow that up. It is not yet clear whether the Knicks have that plan. If they were considering doing this for a while, they would have been formulating what their options were. There are some successful names on the market who are available. However, you should know that this is a team that is very clearly ready to win right now. This is someone who's going to have to come in and instantly have the respect of the locker room. It is not a simple hire, and the stakes are very high.
I will read the names, actually, of all of those coaches since Jeff Van Gundy was here. Tom Thibodeau, Mike Miller, David Fizdale, Jeff Hornacek, Kurt Rambis, Derek Fisher, Mike Woodson, Mike D'Antoni, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Brown, Herb Williams, Lenny Wilkins, Herb Williams again, Don Chaney, and then you get back to Jeff Van Gundy. That is only going back as far as 2001. Yeah. So that's 24 years. That's all of those names, including one of them twice.
Mike Woodson, I believe, is the only one that had a winning record.
I mean, it's the only time that I can remember that they were relevant, like even remotely relevant.
4 games.
So, like, I guess what look, here's what I guess I'm trying to say, Thibs, about Thibs. May I call you Thibs?
I see the similarity. I see the similarity.
I'm trying to come up with an appropriate nickname for you. For the rest of the day, you're going to be Thibs. Here's what I'm trying to say, and I think you said it right. Sometimes in life, we don't get what we deserve. Right? And it doesn't feel like he deserved this. It feels to me like he deserved better. Now, I don't own a basketball team. It's not my job to try and win a championship with them, and I'm not pretending I know how. So, understanding what they understand, having heard whatever they've heard from the players, then maybe if I were in their seat, I would have done the same thing. But what I'm saying is maybe what you said a minute ago. If what he accomplished here didn't earn you the benefit of the doubt, I'm not 100% sure what could.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes down to the perception of the deal, right? Like, as coaches, we live in basketball reality. We coach every single day with what's in front of us. We don't coach listening to outside noise, distractions. We do the job. And in my opinion, Thibs did the job the way he was asked to do. The next person coming in here, to play off your point, is they're no longer drinking water. They're forced to drink champagne. And that's the only success for him now. If you come in here, you make it to the second round, you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you haven't done the job that you were brought here to do. It's going to be a tough job for whoever feels the next.
Closest comparison that I can make is it happened in this town as well. Buck Showalter got the Yankees. Actually, in '94, they were one of the best teams in baseball. Could have won a World Series that year. There was a strike. There was no World Series. In '95, they made the playoffs, but
lost to
were out in the
Seattle.
first round. They were a wild card team. That's what I was trying to get to. Then they fired him, which was stunning because they were really building from nothing in the early 90s to a team that now looked like they could be a contender. Firing him, they bring in Joe Torre. And you brought in an older manager, but he didn't have a great track record, but still, that move was a stunning move. Now, it worked out perfectly. It was the right guy at the right time. And so that's now the question, is that what this hire is going to be? But I said it earlier, I'll say it again. We all know the game Jenga.
Okay.
You take the wrong piece out, the whole thing falls down. That's the biggest concern right now.
And the same thing happened to Buck in Arizona, if you recall.
Yeah,
He gets fired the next year, they bring in